Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and our guest today is Iva Dior. She was born in Czechoslovakia, a country that doesn't even exist anymore, and was, I think, a young child. She's a young woman now, so she had to have been a young child during the days of communism, and joins us today as an activist living here in the United States. Iva, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Devin. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
So, Iva, tell us a little bit about growing up in Czechoslovakia. That must have been interesting.
Yes, it sure was. Not many 5-year-olds get to go to army trainings and run through fields with gas masks on, just in case Americans attack them. Yeah. So you didn't do that?
No.
No. Well, I actually did that a few times, and the interesting thing was that I come from a family that was not friendly to the communist regime. And so I grew up with the knowledge that I was living in oppression, which is interesting, knowing that you're not supposed to say anything. And so there were times when I would probably kind of push it a little bit. I was 8 when the Velvet Revolution happened, so 8.5. So I got to participate in it by putting up posters in the neighborhood and with my sister, and they were taken down, and then I would do it again. And so there was a little bit of rebellion from my family side, and my family was not very popular with the regime. But part of my family immigrated into Austria, and especially because of my grandpa, who's been a huge influence on me, who was an activist during Prague Spring of '68.
Wow, really exciting times to live through and to be a part of and to witness. What brought you to the United States?
I actually went to BYU to study music a while back, and in 2000. And
did you finish your degree there?
I did music. Yes, I got a bachelor's in music.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So what instruments do you play?
I sing.
You sing? Oh, wow.
Yes,
of course I've heard some of your music, and you have a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
That's tremendous. Now
it's a passion.
That's great. Now, Iva, tell us a little bit about the work you're doing now.
Well, apart from being a mom of 3, which keeps me pretty busy, I love food. So a lot of my work is about good food. And since I'm a mom, I want my children to eat nutritious food, not what has been advertised to my children as healthy food. So I've had to get creative, and I have fun with it. So what I do is I educate my children and other people's children and parents on how to eat nutritious meals.
That's great.
On a budget.
So how do you, what are some great tips you can give us for eating right on a limited budget?
Okay, so the myth is that eating value meals for $20 will provide for you a nutritious meal. So I always laugh. People get buckets of fried junk food and consider that meal on a budget, when actually for the same price, you can prepare a meal the night before, and it can be nutritious, and it can be colorful, and it can make you feel good after you eat it, and it will last you for 2 days and still feed a 4-person family. And so what I've been doing and implementing in my life, and I've helped others do, is, yes, it's really good to buy organic produce, but not everything has to be purchased organic. There is something called the dirty dozen. Produce that has a high amount of pesticide residue in it, for example, apples and strawberries and spinach and many others. And there's a clean 15, like avocados and cauliflower and peppers, I think peppers, yeah. So some vegetables and fruits don't have to be bought organic, and that saves you money. Because I know what it's like. I know what it's like when you don't want to double up or triple your budget. You still want to stay true to your income.
Yeah, those are great tips. It's so important to eat right. And I think you're right. People do think fresh fruits and vegetables are more expensive than a bucket of chicken, but not necessarily so.
No, not so, no.
And so tell us a little bit about your work with Kids Lab or Kid Labs.
Kid Labs, yes. So I've been doing workshops and classes for parents and their children. I've had a class at Natural Grocers called Eating the Rainbow on a Budget, and I'm doing another one on August 27th called Dairy-Free Ice Cream to celebrate the end of the summer. What I do is I invite children and their parents to just have fun with their food, because nobody wants to be told that they're doing something wrong. What I want to do is to empower children and their parents to do this themselves so they can implement this in their own lives and make it fun. If it's not fun, you don't want to do it. If it's not delicious, you don't want to eat it. So if we join the two, then it's really worth doing it.
Yes, well, it's so important to do both. How does your youth in Czechoslovakia influence your diet today? Did you eat a healthy diet in Czechoslovakia?
No. I don't know if you're familiar with the Czech cuisine of dumplings and liver and pork and stuff like that. Well, not really. And I think I was a pretty sick kid growing up. And I think it has a lot to do with the diet I was raised on. In communism, we didn't really have access to the best nutrition. We had only what was available in the little teeny government shops that we had in our neighborhoods. And so I think that was one of my inspirations for doing this as well. And I was sick. I was told by doctor that I wasn't supposed to have children because my body was just not well. And through nutrition and health, I turned everything around. I seen the power of clean eating and real food in my life, hands-on.
Yeah, well, it's really, it is important, isn't it? It makes a huge difference. And I think most of us overlook the role of nutrition in our diets and don't eat what we should. Yes,
and there's a sluggish feeling you get after you eat a meal. You just want to kind of go into a coma. But really, after we eat, we're not supposed to go into a coma. We're supposed to feel energized. And so the food that I prepare and I want to empower others to prepare is food that makes you feel good on the inside out. Not only do you feel good on the inside, but your skin looks better, your hair looks better, you just feel better all around. And you will be surprised when I see kids gobbling up ice cream made of 3 cups of spinach and avocado, and they ask for thirds because it's chocolate mint ice cream, and they love it. So healthy food doesn't have to be demonized as gross food and flavorless food if it's done right, and it can be, and it should be, and even kids can do it. Then we can change the way we eat even desserts.
Boy,
and that's my passion.
That is really exciting. So Iva, you've really become a role model to a lot of people that you teach and help with their nutrition. Who do you look up to as a role model?
You know what? It might not be nutrition related, but I really feel like my grandpa has been one of my guides and role models throughout my life, even growing up. He was an activist. He was a community leader during Prague Spring occupation in '68. And he was willing to sacrifice everything for doing what was right and for fighting for freedom. And even though I never got to meet him, his presence was always felt in my family, in my household. And I always felt a connection to him. I not only look like him with the red hair, but I truly have always felt kinship to him. And he's always been my inspiration.
Oh, that's great. Now, we've talked a little bit about why it's important to eat a healthy diet. And we've talked a little bit about how your experience in growing up in Czechoslovakia influenced your diet and your desire for health. But what makes it important for you to share good nutrition with other people?
That's a good question. I have lived in different places around the world, and I have seen people from different backgrounds, and I've seen people who are on a really strict budget, people that are on food stamps. And I see what's in their shopping basket, and it just breaks my heart because they believe that that's all they can afford. I believe that this kind of food that's in boxes, packaged with preservatives, that is not natural and that will make them sicker, is meant for them, and that natural and good food is only for the wealthy. And that is not true. It's all about empowerment. It's about education and teaching communities and families, individuals, the way that they can change their health through food, so the problem of poverty and poor health is not perpetuated.
Yeah, that's great, and I really commend you for tackling that. Now, we like to ask all of our guests for what we call an impact hack, some tip that would help us to do more good in the world. What's yours?
You know what, for me, it's really been about having fun. It's about doing what you love, and I love food. And really, honestly, everybody loves food. So my job is not really hard to sell. It's food, it's delicious, it looks good. So as long as the people I talk to are having fun while they learn, as long as it's hands-on and creative, and people feel empowered by doing it, that I feel like that does its own job.
Yeah, well, that's a good tip for us. Well, Iva, we really want to thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Before you go, though, would you please tell us how people can get in touch with you and learn more about the good work you're doing?
Oh, sure, thanks. You can go to rainbowonabudget.com or go to my Facebook page called Rainbow on a Budget. And I also have a YouTube channel called Iva Dior, Iva-Dior, where you can see all of me. You can see my music, and I'm going to be putting up some great tips on cooking and incorporating healthy food in your family's life as well.
Fantastic. Well, Iva, thank you so much for being with us today.
It's been a pleasure.
Every success in making the world a healthier place.
Thank you very much, Devin. It's been a pleasure.
Right. Let's do some good.